So I would like to just take a moment and welcome everybody for joining us today for our Celebrating Scout Sunday, Sabbath, and Jumuah in Style. We are going to have several different presenters with us today. Susan Parks is going to be walking us through Scout Sunday. We have Barry Hantman and Bruce Strager talking to us about Scout Sabbath, and Syed Naqvi here talking to us about Scout Jumuah. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it along to them to get started, and I think Susan's our first speaker.
Great. Well, hello. I am from sunny Southern California, and I have 3 teenage getting to be college age boys. And when they play their video games and all that's going on, I said, look, I am a Pong generation. I can only do this. Ding, 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 ding. Gets a little faster. I cannot handle all this information you happening simultaneously. So I think the younger generation has great minds and can handle so much more. But right now I want to kind of simplify for you our Scout Sunday program. If I can see, like 30 people at once, how many of you do a Scout Sunday already? How many of you in your churches do Scout Sundays? Okay. And is it fantastic or is it normal? Raise your hand if it's just fantastic, just great. Everybody comments afterwards. Oh, I can't wait till you do it again. All right, what if it's just kind of normal? Okay, we got about half and half, a little normal. All right. Do I have some slides that somebody can cue for me? Can you do that, Amanda?
I can, I just need to get access to them.
Okay.
If you check your email real quick, I sent you a request for access.
Maybe on my phone. Hold on. Yes, sorry. If not, we could have somebody else start and I could continue. I might have to do it on my computer, which is where I'm at. So would anyone else like to go now for the couple minutes and you get back to me, or you want to just hang tight for a minute?
Why don't we switch over to Shabbat?
Amanda, do you want to do Scout Shabbat?
Yep.
Okay. Let me bring up those slides then. Let me try to bring up those slides. Are people seeing the slides?
Yes.
Okay, in full screen mode?
Yes.
Okay. So first, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Barry Hantman. I'm a member of the Daniel Webster Council Duty to God Committee. I'm the council's chairman for the Jewish Committee on Scouting. I'm also a member of the National Jewish Committee on Girl Scouting. So I've been involved in scouting for many, many years in a bunch of different positions. Also presenting today will be Bruce Strager. Bruce is a wealth of knowledge on almost every subject. He's had 49 years in scouting, held almost every position, 3-beater and wood badge, District Award of Merit. He's the chairman emeritus of the Suffolk County and Northeast Region Jewish Committees. Fantastic person. He's going to speak right after me. So as I said, I'm from Daniel Webster Council in New Hampshire. New Hampshire is not known for its large Jewish community. As a matter of fact, it's not at all known for its Jewish life. There are only about 3,000 Jewish households in the entire state, only about 14 synagogues in the entire state. Many Jewish children are from mixed faith families. Many don't practice Judaism at all. Most Jews in the state are either Reform or conservative, although there is a small number of Orthodox. And in New Hampshire, most non-Jews know very, very little about our religion. The reason I'm telling you this is because of the lack of Jewishness in the state, it's all the more important that we reach out to the Jewish Scouts and let them know that there is a Jewish committee and that we do try to take them into account. So how do we make our council's Jewish committee and our Scout Shabbat successful? The first is to be visible. Although it's not a large committee, we don't have a large number of Jewish Scouts, we try to get the Jewish committee involved in absolutely everything that we can possibly get ourselves involved in. We also try to partner with some of the nearby councils, including those in some of the other states. So I'll talk a little bit about that in a few seconds. We hold some joint events with the Girl Scouts of the USA. Again, just to get the number of scouts up, so you have a large number. And we encourage all scouts of all faiths to attend our Scout Shabbat services. So these are some pictures of our Scout Shabbat services. As I said, we invite 2 different BSA councils, as well as 2 Girl Scout USA councils to share Scout Shabbat with us. We tend to get somewhere between 75 and 100 scouts or scouters, which for New Hampshire is a phenomenal number of scouts. So how do we get such a large turnout? The first thing is know your audience. You have to have the right rabbi talking about the right topic. There are lots of fantastic rabbis that I enjoy speaking to. I have great conversations with, but they can't speak to the youth well. There are other rabbis who are really down with the scouts. They know how to talk to them. They know the topics that are of interest to them, and that's very important. The second is to understand the diversity of the attendees. Again, because we only held 1 Scout Shabbat service to the entire state and the neighboring councils, we have a mix of Orthodox, Conservative, Reform, non-practicing, Christian, Muslim, and a variety of other scouts with us. And so you have to make sure that you're speaking to everybody who's there. Because of that, you have to have the right mix of English and Hebrew. If you did the whole service in Hebrew, a lot of the scouts who were attending would be lost. And then you have to tailor it for your youth. Make it a little bit different. You want to make it fun, okay? You want to make it short. You can't have a service that's too long or the scouts lose interest. Again, we invite Cub Scouts and stuff. We have scouts as young as 5 and 6 attending, and so you have to remember the age group. At the same time, you don't want your scouts who are 15, 16, 17, 18 to be bored. So, and some of our venturers who are even older than that. So you have to keep all of the various age groups in mind and publicize the event widely. Don't forget to do the things that scouts really enjoy. Patches. Scouts love patches. So we make sure everybody gets a patch and that it's a nice one. And by the way, all of these patches that I'm showing here on the screen were actually designed by Bruce Strager. Bruce designs a very nice patch for us every year. Make sure to put, Massachusetts, New Hampshire on our patches for us and stuff. But we make sure every scout gets a very nice patch because scouts love patches. The second thing is food. You can't have a Jewish event without food. It doesn't work. Scouts love food. And so the Oneg Shabbat, the meal after the service, it's not meal, it's more snacks. In the Jewish term, the word is nash, something to eat. But it's as important as the service itself. It gives a chance after the service to talk to the scouts, to tell them about the various religious emblems, to tell them how their religion and scouting go together. It gives a chance to talk to them one-on-one. But again, when you're talking about food for youth, you got to think about the foods that scouts like to eat. So think about chocolate, not veggies. We want to make sure that we keep the scouts engaged in our Scout Shabbat service. So at the beginning of the service, we have all of the scouts parade in with their flags at the beginning of the service. Scouts love to parade in with their flags. We do a whole flag ceremony up at the front with all of their flags, all the scouts lined up and everything. We give the Scouts the opportunity to take part in the service if they'd like to lead a prayer in English or in Hebrew. We invite them all up to the front for the Kiddush, the sacramental wine, at the end of the service. We make sure we recognize any that have earned their religious awards. We'll actually invite them up during the service and pin that religious award right on their uniform. And if anybody's earned their religious award in the past, we make sure we recognize them as well. The last thing is we make sure we use tunes that the Scouts will recognize. Even the Scouts that aren't Jewish, we make sure that we include tunes that they can just hum along to. So one of the prayers that's part of our normal Scout Shabbat Friday night service is the Adon Olam tune, and we always sing that to the tune of America the Beautiful. Because again, even our Scouts who aren't religious, who don't know the words, who aren't even Jewish, can hum along and have a fun time singing the song with us. So some of the things about our Scout Shabbat, we make sure we pick the date a year in advance to get it on the council calendar so everybody knows it. We publicize it as the date gets closer. We do an email. We advertise it at our Scout roundtables. We use social media, the district page, the council page, and we make sure we invite council leadership. We don't always get all of the council leadership there, but if the council leadership is invited, they tend to publicize it themselves. The second thing is to make sure you work with the rabbi and make sure that the rabbi knows relevant topics to the Scouts today, some songs and tunes that the youth will know, and again, the mix of English and Hebrew, and also just a reminder to the rabbi or the cantor to help explain the service to those who are unfamiliar with it. What is it we're doing and why are we doing them? And then, ahead of time, you got to order the patches and make sure that you have them in time for the event. Nobody likes to get patches mailed to them afterwards. So some key takeaways before I hand this over to Bruce. Plan ahead, be inclusive, publicize it far and wide, keep it fun, tailor it for the youth and make sure they're involved. And remember to go with the flow. There's no right or wrong way. Anytime you're having any event that involves youth, things will go wrong and things will not go as you plan. That's okay. Just go with it. However it goes, it goes. And I tell the Scouts that, they tell me, well, what if I make a mistake during the flag ceremony or something? Don't worry about it. Just nobody else will know. Just pretend it was planned that way and go with the flow. Before I pass it off to Bruce, I want to just talk about some of the other activities that we have in the Daniel Webster Council to show our duty to God. At our camporees, we make sure we have our Scout Zone services, both the camporees and at summer camp. We make sure we do a peace light distribution throughout the council every December. We have a duty to God recognition breakfast for anybody of any religion who's earned their religious award. We do that every year. We have our Scout Sunday services at various churches throughout the state in February of every year. At some of our major camporees, we've had a duty to God display tent with booths from each of the various religions. We've done chaplain aid training at summer camp. We're doing a 12-point hike coming up in October. And we've created a summer camp religious award. And in the middle of the picture here, you can see we actually have a Duty to God Council shoulder patch that you can earn by earning that summer camp religious award. So we have a very active Duty to God committee in Daniel Webster Council. So with that, let me turn it over to Bruce Strager. Bruce?
Thank you, Barry. Barry did a fantastic job. You said just about everything that I was going to say. I'm not going to bother to read my my slides. You could read them. I just want to talk a little bit more about how do you get people to go to these. We use the Religious Emblem Program as a tool where any boy who gets their, or any scout who gets their religious emblem is actually a liaison between us, the Jewish committee, and their synagogue or their church. And what happens is that then we approach them, and that's why in Suffolk County, Long Island, we hold approximately 15 Scout Shabbats and more Scout Sundays every single year. One of the, I'm not going to say that the National Jewish Committee doesn't have a real nice patch, because they do for Scout Shabbat. It's just that it is a little bit costly, and for us to hand out about 500 patches, it would be just cost prohibitive for us. So that's why we design our own patch and distribute it. And Barry is fortunate, they're fortunate for Barry, because he's the one who does it for his area. So anyway, using that as a tool, we could locate all the different synagogues, because if you email them or call them up, you don't get a whole big response. Again, make everybody part of the service. They could be English parts. Unfortunately, most of our temples are conservative, so it's hard to take photographs there, and it's hard to, and you can't use electronics, so we don't have a lot of pictures. We even have a couple that are held on Saturday morning, which is like a 3-hour service. But we always have food. We always have good participation. And also advertising. Advertise before and make sure you advertise after. If you can get people after the service or just take pictures of them, send it to the local newspapers. Excuse me. Phyllis Stein, who's on our committee, she does 80% of all the positive publicity for Suffolk County Council. And anytime there's a religious emblem or a Scout Shabbat, it's always in the local paper. And this is what you want to see, because people like to go to good things. They get attracted to good things. And when you see all of that out there, we get a lot of people questioning us, and they want to join us, and we want to get new people to our committee. So Scout Shabbats, if you go to the next page, Barry, we're just going to go through it fast. We also do presentations of any religious emblem, of anybody that's there. We're also associated with Girl Scouts. Our committee actually gives a gold award certificate to every Girl Scout who gets a gold award every year, and I get invited to their dinner that they have at the end of the year. There's usually between 80 and 100 girls getting the gold award, and I knew the past chairperson of the Girl Scout, and I know the Jewish Committee on Scouting, Jill Tanny, so she's a very good friend of mine as well. Okay, you can go to the next one now. We also, we haven't done it in a couple of years, but we created a certificate, so that if you don't want to do a patch, you could just do a certificate like these. And you could put anything together. Everything is available on the internet. You could download stuff and just put it together. Just make a certificate, print it out, and give it to everybody. Go to the next slide, please. We also, in my temple, I do a program. So on one is the cover of the program on the left, and everything that we're going to do is on the left-hand side. And usually what I do is I fill it in with people I know that are going to be doing certain parts. And it also has information at the bottom of it, so that if people want to know more about scouting, or if they want to get involved a little bit, they could talk to us. And by the way, if you look at the sheet 1, it's the 5th medal from the left, and just before the Shofar Award. That's the Talmud Torah Award that any scout can earn if they've earned all of their Jewish religious emblems. And it doesn't make a difference what country they belong to, as long as they've earned all of them. Go ahead, Barry. Anything else, or is that it? Okay, just one more fast thing I want to add. I produce a thumb drive which has all this information on it. It has a lot of the stuff from this conference on it. It's a 16-gigabyte thumb drive. Along with the thumb drive, we're going to give out this year's Shabbat patch along with it, and also a Scouting Serves the Jewish Community keychain. If anybody's interested in this, I asked Amanda to send out my information, and the only thing I ask you to do is to pay for the cost of everything, not the patch, just the cost of mailing and the thumb drive, which is $6. And you could even use that as a donation. You could make checks out to Suffolk County Jewish Committee on Scouting, or SCJCOS. That information will be passed on to you. And also my card will be in there. If anybody has any questions, any suggestions, any help in designing patches, which you'll find on the thumb drive as well, please give me a call. I'd be more than happy to help you. It has other awards that we do. We do awards like the, we call it the Life Award or the High Award. We have a wooden high that we give out. We also do the Double High Award, a nice certificate for people who have gone way, way above and beyond. And also, if you're interested in the Northeast region, they do a conference every year. And after the Chauffeur Award, they have a series of high awards that they give out. And now the National Jewish Committee has okayed it for all of the other Jewish committees around the country to do the same thing. So it starts off with the bronze high, then the gold high, and then the silver high. And I am very thankful for Phil Sternberg and all the Northeast region for giving me the diamond high, which is just unbelievable. So if anybody has any questions, you could ask them, and I'd be more than happy to answer anything, or you could email me anytime. You can call me on the telephone. I can give you my phone number. I love to talk to people. I love to help you out. And I love scouting. What I see in scouting for our youth, that's what keeps me in scouting so long. I just felt I have so much happiness inside me. And it's not only because of me, but because of all of you and doing what you do in scouting for your area, for your people, and making it all work. This is what it's all about, and thank you.
Right. Do you have Susan's PowerPoint working?
Thank you. It is. Well, I want to commend Barry and Bruce because I can see even through the computer their passion that they have for Scout Shabbat. And I hope that each of you have a Barry and Bruce in your council so that that's who you can partner with. So what I am going to explain is just to piggyback exactly on what they were saying, building an interdenominational event. So I took my program that I had given at Philmont a couple years ago, and I thought, okay, I need to teach you how to actually put the event together and why you should do it and how we could do it virtually now. So Amanda, would you click over to the next one? Okay, so this event was an outside event. When we do our Scout Sunday at the Methodist Church, we partner with a Jewish synagogue. We partner with the Episcopal Church. We partner with a Catholic church, an LDS church. We pick 4 or 5 churches each year, and in a month or 2, we visit each of those. So they had just redone the Episcopal Church, and they were so excited for us to come in, but what happened is there were too many people that came to the event, so they had to end up setting up outside, which was a perfect scenario for what we could do now if we actually get to gather. Here in Southern California, we are not able to gather. Is anyone else? I can't see you all, but no one can gather right now, can we? Okay, so you want to have some connection, but you don't quite know how. Well, this is a visual right outside the church. That's a possibility when you're able. Amanda, next one. And we went to a Baptist church. There again, this is just the flag bearers outside the Baptist church. But do you see the difference? If you could switch back between both of those, if I'm not asking too much. Look at the difference in any passersby driving past the street on these 2 events. Which one do you think they'd be more interested in? That one where everybody's sitting outside. So yes, what happens inside our church may all be wonderful, and you can flip a couple more, but if you can head outside for any different event, that would be ideal right now. Barry and Bruce talked about who you involved, who you would involve. Okay, next. this is a display we had in our lobby, and it was one of our church members who was a Girl Scout. Her father was one of the first Eagle Scouts in his town, and she put together this display and had all these vintage items. Now that certainly is something that someone could virtually do at home and do a little clip or present something like this remotely. It doesn't have to be necessarily inside the church, but it gave Scouts firsthand a look at some of the vintage items and how neat those things were. So that was just a little display that we had outside. Thanks, Amanda. Next. This happens to be our church. It's kind of plain, and so it's new, but you know, it's California. We don't have grass that we water. We don't have a bunch of trees. So we have to make it look somewhat fun. We bring a little of the vintage scouting in for interest of the Scouts. We also make places, you can just put up your troop structures outside. Go ahead, Amanda. So that you could have places that you would take a picture. This happened to be our choir director, and he led our Scouts. And we just grouped all of our Scouts in the whole church together. He came in and a couple times did a choir, and it was super fun. And he just had such a great personality that even the kids that didn't want to sing, they sang anyways just because of him. So he's an awesome man. Okay, Amanda, the next one. Okay, this is, I'm sure that most of you do this. You put your kids to work that can play an instrument. We only had a couple Methodist boys that wanted to play handbells, or maybe it was my kids that I made them play the bells. I always think you need to play handbells for Scout Sunday. We didn't quite have enough kids, so we invited the LDS group to come play with us. And when you look at it, you can't tell the difference. They're just Scouts. But what we found is all those boys grew up together and had a special bond because one simple thing, that they got to play handbells together, and they could then talk to each other at school. They said hello to those other friends that they normally go, oh yeah, they're in Scouts, but I don't know if it's cool that I should say hi. Well, this kind of broke those barriers. All of these things, let's say our crew up here that were the musicians, they could send that information in virtually, and you could just plug them in for a virtual moment. All right. This also, if you can go ahead, Amanda. Of course, we did you pray, there pray awards, and you recognize the teachers, but can you see how involved our church is? Everybody's right there together. What our pastor did that day was take the altar off the stage and put it right in front of church, because we simply have cement slab floors and we move all those chairs and tables around for whatever event we want. So we set up church a little differently. So it was almost like church in the round. And so everybody was just right on top of each other and in the mix of everything happening. And so that's just an idea that you could set it up, not as formal, a little more casual. Okay. Oh, virtually. Now, our pastor is great, and all those boys love to help with the sacrament. One of the things that I think you could do is, our sacrament in the Methodist Church is grape juice and cubes of bread. In the Catholic Church, they may have a wafer and, real wine, of which when we visited, forgot to tell our kids that was real wine. And at the Episcopal Church, my youngest, Mom, and I said, oh, honey, I forgot it's not grape juice. In the LDS Church, we got to see the young men prepare the sacrament, and they have water. So every church has a sacrament. And you could partner with your different scouting leaders. You could virtually have the pastor or a lay leader or someone from your church explain about the particular sacrament that your church does. We have to explain that we only do it on the first Sunday, and it's with grape juice. We tell a little story about the Methodist man who you know, the fermentation process and the wine was going bad, and they wanted to develop something that would have some longevity. So Welch's was the Methodist man who designed grape juice, discovered grape juice, made grape juice, whatever you want to say. There's a story on that. You could say it more eloquently than I. You could videotape anyone doing a sacrament, and you could put all those clips together. So that would give education to those. If you could not meet in person, you could understand everyone's different sacraments and what they do with it. Same with possibly a baptism. I know that I was baptized Baptist, so I got to be fully submerged. And when I came to the Methodist church and they just tinkled you, I thought, oh, that's not, not what my favorite thing. But it's understanding each religion has a different form of baptism. And therefore, that would be another thing that you could explain virtually. You could show the baptismal font. You could show those things. And so even though people would possibly not be able to gather for the event, they could at least learn. Okay, Amanda, thank you. And, oh, I don't know if you can see up on the stage, we have pots that we pulled out of the kitchen, and it had soup in it. It was Super Bowl Sunday. That's kind of a, is that a Methodist thing? Do other Methodists do that, Super Bowl Sunday? Yes, it's not just our area. And so what we did is that we happened to have Scout Sunday on Super Bowl Sunday, and we did this as a Super Bowl, and people brought canned foods. We placed them up on the altar. So no matter where you visited from, if you brought a canned good, you could come up onto the altar, place it on there, and it made our stage, our altar, a little less formal because you had been there and touched something on it, if that makes sense. Okay, Amanda? Oh, again, our presence outside. You can see our LDS when they visited. They don't quite know what to do. They're looking like the CIA or the Secret Service. But we joke with them all the time and said, you guys, it's just church. It's okay. We're very much less formal than some other religions. And so it is also comfortable. People have to gain a comfort level where they can relax and understand what's happening. So if they have a reason to get there a little early, to come inside, to have a tour of your church or your religious building, that's a great thing that you could do, is to bring your guests basically inside your home to see it. Also, we try to do as much as we can outside the church for visualization for the passersby driving by the church to go, hey, what's going on over there? So you can see we set some displays outside. We tend to set up a bunch of easy ups and structures that people can take pictures under. So that's another thing that you can do if you don't do it already. All right, Amanda? Oh, this was our photo spots. You can see we don't have much in the way of big trees, and it's pretty plain. Our church isn't really appealing. It's a nice architectural building, but compared to an old school church, it just doesn't have much curb appeal. So when you have places that people can go to gather, it makes it seem more exciting. So we just tend to do photo ops and things like that too. Okay. All right. Talking about the certificate. So our Scout is Reverent program, we have host churches. So we have a synagogue, Methodist church, Catholic church, Baptist church, Episcopal church. And if you go to your round table, I know you already know leaders from those units. And so you have to find a Barry or a Bruce that is a passionate leader in their church also. And they will connect and set up the Scout is Reverent event. So that's what we have. Here's the patch, and you can see the patch on the screen too. And the little ribbons, we just put a glue dot on the back and stick the ribbons on. But I have to hand make all these ribbons all the time, and that's a labor of love. I haven't figured out how to get them ordered yet, but we put the initials of the church, so every place they go, they accumulate a little ribbon. So that builds consistency and excitement, and people usually want to go to all of the events that you have so they can get all the ribbons. And if they use this patch for a second season, we just tack on more ribbons. So people will have 10 or 11 ribbons on the same patch, or they can get a new patch for the second season also. But we do make a presentation for the host church, and we do a little promotion. The leader who is hosting the next event, okay, so let's say it started at the Methodist church. I would bring up the Baptist church liaison and say, okay, and then next week at this time, this is the person that's in charge, and we're going to see the Baptist service. And that way it puts a connection, a face, a name, a person to the next event, and it promotes your next event. So that's something also that you can do if you have time to continue. When we get to meet, if you want to do the program where you visit the different religious institutions, promote it at the end of each service. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you. Okay. So what's important for your Scout Sunday? How do you involve other scouts? We talked about that, other scouters and other churches. That is exact. I know you already know those people. You just have to ask them. You should say, hey, when we are able to gather, let's plan this so we can visit. Now, I will say that we went to a mosque, and they were so enamored by us as scouts, they took pictures of us as if we were at Disneyland, and they had never seen us before. But yet in turn, we took pictures of them because we never knew how to pray with your head down to the ground, right? And so I'm not thin, and I said, I'm not really sure I can do that. And one of the ladies said to me, look, you don't have to, just here's a chair, kneel down by the chair, and you can use the chair if you need help or whatever. And it was a very interesting way to try to learn to pray. And after that, I decided I was very grateful to be a Methodist. I could just put my hands together. So you learn a lot by going to visit. And anyway, if you visit virtually or you visit in person, it is so fun for you as a leader and for your scouts to do that. So very good. Any questions? Everybody's muted. I can't. Okay.
It was a nice presentation, Susan. I'd like to ask you, did you mention just now that you have witnessed the Muslim prayer and all these things? And I have the idea, and I think that Bruce will agree, we was talking before, that when we are doing the Friday and the Sabbath and the Sunday services, can we do together in one place, not the nationwide, but one place like we do in the Jamboree? So it will be a understanding each other, especially the kids, our kids, your kids born in this country. Forget our native countries. So it is a good opportunity to understand what is the religion is teaching for all the faith. It's the same thing whether you bow your head, whether you quietly say it, whether you hold your hands. It's the same. It's a wonderful experience. Bruce acknowledged that one in the last Jamboree. I went to the Jewish services, and there was two Jewish services. I didn't know that. The Rabbi Peter Hyman invited me to come to attend the service, and I went to the other one, Orthodox, and they says, why you are here? I say, I came to attend the services. He says, no, you go to the you have invitation for the Rabbi Peter Hyman. I went there, so I didn't know until this thing exposed to me that there is a two kind of Jewish faith or the sect. Same thing here in the Islamic. We have
Yes.
so much, but the prayer time is all together. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us for this week discussion that I am go for combined Jumu'ah or the Sabbath or the Sunday.
And yes, absolutely. And what happens is because everyone has a different Sabbath time, even if you do 3 events all in one weekend, you can do a Friday night, a Saturday, a Sunday. It's hectic to do it all in one weekend, but sometimes it's a good jump start and you just have to spend one weekend. And the best education you can get is being there, being together, learning how to read out of the, help me, Barry and Bruce, it's not your hymnal. What is it?
Siddur.
The Siddur.
Just to hold a book and open it the opposite way and try to read backwards is huge. We have lived our whole life and never done that. So there's tiny little things that really tie you to that religion and respect for that religion and understanding. And it is not that we try to convert everyone that comes to our faith. We want to expose them and make them understand and help them learn and appreciate. And I will tell you that the events are so powerful when all the scouts come together and all their parents and their family and their leaders come and experience it. They ask to do it again the next year and the next year. When is it? When you've got to tell us. That enthusiasm for a religious event is enormous. Oh, good. Do we have a certificate?
Hey, Susan, thank
Yes.
you. I hate to, I want to move us along so that we have plenty of
Yes.
time to discuss Scout Jumu'ah. But if you have additional questions, anybody, go ahead and drop them into the chat because we can always have our presenters follow up with you afterwards. So I just want to keep to our time so that we don't, if we have people who want to move to the next service, they can. Thank you so much. All right, Syed, take it away.
Thank you very much, and welcome everyone to have the informative session. Believe it or not, this is very interesting to learn each other's faith. And by doing this in several years, several decades through the scouting, I really enjoyed it one. And although we could do better, but due to our resources and the distances, we are not doing our proper things. I have with me in this presentation Asanullah, who is the president of the Islamic Center, one of the leading center in the Northeast region, who almost serving more than 12 or 15 mosques and thousand congregation. And he's a good instrumental leader if we arrange something in Virginia or Baltimore area. But let me share with you this, what is the Friday prayers and why we are doing this as a congregation. That's very important. Practical is different, but I will read a few notes, and if you have any question, you let me know. Let me read this highlights of the Salatul Jummah. Salat means prayer, and highlights. Salatul Jummah, Friday prayers take the place of noon Salat. It consists of the 2 rakah. Mean that there's again, this when you seeing in person, then you understand what is 2 rakat mean. People bowing 2 times on the floor. Minimum number of the participant is required 5%, but preferably it is 7 people on Friday together. If you have. And Salatul Jummah is a obligatory for men and voluntarily for women. After Azan, the call for the prayer, there should be first part of the khutbah. The speaker, the priest, give the two part of the khutbah sermon, and the one sermon is short, then pause, then the second part of the khutbah again. Each part of the khutbah is started by short dua and salah on the Prophet and ended with the short dua and short surah such as Surah Al-Asr, which is the Quran, all the Quranic from the Quran. The first part of the sermon khutbah starts with the reminder about the taqwa piety, followed usually tafsir, with the translation of the book and the verses which priest
Hey,
has
Syed,
mentioned.
we're having a little bit of trouble hearing you. I don't
Yeah.
know if you can be closer to your mic.
Okay.
The
Can
sound
you
is
hear me
going
now?
in and out a little bit. Yes,
Can you hear me?
yes, that's better. Thank you.
Okay. So let's start this one. The first part of there's several parts. The total time duration is 25 to 30 minutes in every Friday. Some places they go longer, but it depends on the what kind of congregation. If it is big, it's important event, then they can go. But the recommendation is for half an hour. And Asanullah will clarify a little bit more during my presentation. But let me share with you what is the khutbah, what is the sermon look like, what we are enforcing on that khutbah. For example, I'm starting from here. May I ask you to hold to taqwa, which means piety and righteousness, and to revere Allah and obey His divine commands. Let us choose wisely in this life and heed and consequences of our choices for the hereafter. Let us be aware of our eventually and departure into the everlasting life. May God provide us all with the spirit of righteousness and obedience as best means for all of us. And then the verses from the Quran, I am going to translate that one. O you who believe, when the call to prayer is made on the day of congregation, Friday, as in to the remembrance of God, and leave of business, that is better for you if you know. Islam has special rituals and traditional, each of us, which is to our advantage. Allah has ordered rules and regulation based on a specific consideration. It was not a haphazard choice. Example, reminding for the daily prayer, fasting, pilgrimage to Makkah, enjoying the good to common good, and forbidden from doing evilness and the bad, supporting the needy, and respecting the rights of others. All of these are to our advantage. They are numerous benefits and vital interest in personal as well as the social life. Similarly, Allah has ordered us against sin, and many races example of which are backbiting, double dealing, hurting reputation of others, speaking ill of other, and hypocrisy, dishonesty, cheating, lying, breaking promises, untrustworthiness, deception, false accusation, false witnessing, cruelty, being unkind, rude, and cruel, is stealing, hurting, unfairly, distraction, be it personal or on a larger scale, oppression, and disregarding the right of others, and being abusive, mean, and harmful. God wants us to avoid or fight against these examples. So these are the things all in the Scouts laws and Scout activities. So once we have the Friday thing, it's every week is a Friday, good Salatul Jummah. So we are not like a once in a year we are enforcing to the kids, but every Friday they are supposed to be go on there. Collectively, what we keep in consideration, because if there is a convention of this national level, regional level, so they start from Thursday night or Friday, so Friday is automatically that way. So we announce our local unit that in, for example, in Houston, there is convention that so many thousands people coming. So all the scouts, please report, and we have the Friday the thing, and we give the patch. As you see on my screen, there's a this year Scout Jumuah patch, and every year we change. And but we definitely, I learned today from the Jewish brothers and our Christian brothers what you are doing. I'm going to take that things and try to implement collectively all the efforts what you are doing. This is a wonderful experience. Together we learn each other, and if anything I could be able to give you support, I'm ready to give you that one. I will ask Asanullah to chip in here something which he is doing practically in the scouting, because as you know, he's very responsible. We have the Friday collectively for the Scouts Baltimore, National Capital Area Council, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York City, New Jersey, and the yearly. So hopefully we are going to continue these things, but with the more fruit, like you mentioned, what your churches is doing, what your synagogue is doing to bring the youth together. Asanullah, you are next.
Yeah, I want to apologize, Syed. Most of the people didn't hear. I think when you were presenting, the phone was away from you. So we apologize for that. So as I wanted to just quickly, I don't think we have much time, but quickly wanted to say, I am really, really happy and know how much the PowerPoint is needed to that explaining what is Scout Jumuah is. And if you guys could mute, that will help me deliver, please. All right, so Scout Jumuah as initially, right? Scout Jumuah, whenever there is a Scout Sunday, that day we offer in the National Capital Area Scout Jumuah either one of this Friday in February. So, and when it's gonna happen, people come to our masajid, being the largest masajid or mosque. They come in and we know the scouts would be coming. So couple of things we do. We, as Syed was talking about some of the points during the khutbah. Khutbah is a sermon. During the Friday Mass, the sermon they use. So usually 12 point of Scout law usually introduced at the time. And then after that, we do a service project at the mosque. This is only on National Capital Area. We do a service project in our mosque, and we want to make sure that people understand how how important it is to observe the Friday Mass, and how important to do it on February. And then we distribute the patches or certificates. So again, we did not do the PowerPoint. Hopefully we'll do next time PowerPoint. I could see how PowerPoint creates such a great impact to this panel. So hopefully next time we'll do a PowerPoint and we go from there. So if there is any questions I can answer or Syed can answer. Yes, so as you can see on the back, there is a patch for this year, which is in our back. So,
Hassan, if you could send me the information, I'll include it on my thumb drive.
okay,
Bruce.
okay, okay.
And I would like to just thank all of our presenters today for sharing, and for everybody that called in to be with us this afternoon. Thank you all so much for joining us. And y'all have a wonderful afternoon.
This is the first of over 100 certificates that are already done. So if I haven't got your name and address, I can't make one up for you. So if you'll go through the chat room, I've given my email address just in case you haven't turned it in. But there are over 100 have already been made and ready to go out next week. Thank you.
That is awesome. Thank you.
All right. As you guys are getting ready to head out of this Zoom session, just a reminder, we do have one more session on messengers apiece. And then if you're wanting to participate in the Interfaith service, go to Facebook and search for Duty to God BSA. That Facebook page is where the service will end up showing up.
At what time?
5 o'clock Eastern, and figure out your time difference from there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And what time is the
Alright.
messenger of peace and what is the connection?
I can it is coming up right now at
Same.
4 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Alright.
you, everyone.
So you can
Thanks,
get it.
everyone.
Thank you. I'll send it to you.